Welcome to 44 and 1. I am GVizzle. This is Tempest. And guess what?
You're practically famous now.
I can't believe you just stole my fucking thunder. Yeah, I am practically almost a G-list celebrity.
Yeah, you're just a step away now. And why is that, GVizzle? Tell us.
Me to the red carpet, it's seconds away. Breaths. Because I am featured in a Buzzfeed article because of a video I made about being child-free by choice.
And I'll be sad because I don't have, children around me and grandchildren.
What's up? 48 checking in. I have known my entire life I wasn't going to have children. Not a decision I made, something I have always known. When I was 5, my best friend wanted to play house, and I said, let's play neighbors. At 7, I turned to my mom and said, if I ever get married, I'm not having kids. And I have heard it all. You're not a real woman if you don't have kids. False. You're never going to know love if you don't have kids. Also false. But the love is different. Sure it is. Because the love I have for my husband is different than the love I have for my dogs. I love my mom in a different way than I love my friends. I love pizza in a different way than I love coffee. It's all different. I had a friend who never wanted to have kids, and then she got pregnant, had a kid. Now the kid is a lover for life. I'm happy for your friend. And unironically, they will tell you not having children is selfish in the same sentence or in very close proximity to the words, who will take care of you when you're older? Like retirement homes and senior care facilities aren't full of parents whose kids drop them off and never visit. You mentioned in your video, people say to you, oh, when you're hanging out with your friends and their kids. I don't hang out with my friends and their kids. I hang out with my friends. I'm the friend they go to when they're tired of hanging out with their other mommy friends. And if there's ever a time where the kids are in the same area, the kids play together, the adults hang out together. I'm not playing fucking mousetrap with anyone. People should question why they want to have children just as much as people who don't want to have children question it and think about it, because not everybody should be a parent. No one plans to be a shitty parent, but there's a fuck ton of shitty parents out there. When we rescued Zool, I had to fill out a 2-page questionnaire, write a 1-page essay, submit pictures of our house and backyard, 2 references, and my vet's phone number. In the time it took me to collect all of that, there were probably 7 teenagers getting pregnant in the back of a van, and depending on where they live, they're going to be forced to be parents. People fail to consider that other people want different things for their lives than they want for themselves. I, for one, do not understand how someone can live in a house without a dog. To me, a house without a dog is an empty home. Other people feel that way about children. Both those feelings are valid, but they also mean I don't get to tell you to get a dog. You don't get to tell me to have children, because what happens in your house affects me fucking goose eggs %. Also, before I met my husband, we met when I was 21 and he was 20. When we met, we never thought we had a life sentence together. So the fact that he wanted to have kids and I didn't come up until a year later. It was like, oh shit, I'm wasting his time because I don't want to have children, and that's something he wants for himself. Luckily, he changed his mind, and here we are 27 years later. I forgot where I was going with this. Oh yeah, people will tell you, what if you meet the perfect man for you, but he doesn't want to have kids? Well then, Barbara, he's not the perfect man for me, is he? Once again, I have not regretted in 48 years for a heartbeat not having children. However, if the day should ever come that I do regret it, I would rather spend my next 35, 40 years regretting not having kids than have spent the last 20 years and the next 40 regretting having had them. And to that, you do not miss that which you do not want. I don't miss having kids because I've never wanted to have kids. Just like someone who's never wanted to have a dog won't feel like they're missing out by not having a dog. I miss not having kids the way I miss not having a koala bear. It was never going to be a fucking possibility. My husband and I, we take care of ourselves, take care of each other, take care of our dogs. We've never had to transition from husband and wife to mom and dad back to being empty net. We're not responsible for anybody else other than ourselves and each other, and it is perfection. And the comments.
Well, there's 88 comments and 87 of them are good.
Yes. And which is the case. I mean, I don't often make videos about being child-free unless usually it's in response to somebody else's stitch like this one was. But every single time I have made a video, it must come out of a handbook for angry men because it's the exact same comment. And I have a screenshot of that comment.
So I've got it on my screen. I can share the screen.
Okay. So it's the exact same comment every single time. And it's something to the effect of, well, it's not entirely her choice.
Yeah. And they always make a comment about looks as well. Like they're fucking 12 years old. You know?
Yeah. So where is it? There it is.
Well, I appreciate her perspective, but I really, really appreciate the fact she didn't procreate. TBH, I don't think it's entirely her choice.
Oh, caps entirely. Yes, indeed. Like what? So here's what kills me about that, though. I'm going to go on a rant. Is what possesses somebody to make the cut? Like, even if it was 100% true, right? Like, even if he is sitting there on a sofa with his buddies complaining about Bud Light being woke and he's scrolling through scrolling through BuzzFeed, sees my face, and he goes, "Oh, dude, I want to fuck her with your dick." Like, why does he feel? And if that's true, God bless. This isn't Tinder. I'm not. Not everybody is for everybody, but like that he types it in, and I mean, aside from being almost famous, I also know what I look like. I'm easy on the eyes. Like I'm not a 10, but I'm a solid 6 and 6.7. So that he would put that in there, is it? Here's my question about the motivation of it. Is it because he really believes that and feels that I need to know because his opinion matters in my life?
Yeah.
Or does he want to take a woman down a peg or two because she has made this choice without the permission of the men in her life? Is it that he, like, I just don't understand where that comes from. And why do men still think that insulting a woman's appearance is going to like destroy her? Answer me, Tempest.
I think depending on the bloke, really. I think it's a bit of all of it. Judging from this bloke and that, basing on that comment, it's kind of like, it sounds like he's a bit male chauvinistic, so he sees men as superior, I think. And I think he just wants to put this little lady in her place. And
You think that's what it is?
Yeah, that's the impression I'm getting. Because like you can click on people's usernames as well on BuzzFeed, and then you can go.
No, I saw this comment.
Yeah, and you look at his other comments, and he admits to being a misogynist. He admits to not wanting women in his life, even though he's married. He's 49 years old. No, 49 years old.
I saw that he does a lot of BuzzFeed quizzes. That I saw. I didn't see about him not wanting women in his life, even though he's married. Like, how do you reconcile those two things? Why are you doing that to your wife? How are you treating her if you don't even want women in your life?
Yeah, so he says, so this is on a response to an article called 17 Fed Up Women Share the Small Things They Absolutely Will Not Put Up With in a Relationship Anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go see what that is in a minute.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, but he said, so, ... my new relationship boundary after being married 25 plus years and working only with women in certain business oriented to women is no women. I've been on the inside long enough and I'm done. Thank you for creating and supporting my misogyny.
I seriously doubt he has spent his career working in a women-centric field.
Yeah.
That's the impression I'm getting from that, right? Like he's saying that he's worked with women for 25 years and a woman, like, did I mishear that?
No, he says he's been married to a woman for over 25 years and he's working only with women in a certain business that's oriented to women.
I think that's bullshit.
Yeah, it sounds like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, like if you're a misogynist, why are you working in a women-only field or for a company that services mostly women? Yeah, unless you're a predator. Right.
And now he's blaming this BuzzFeed article for creating his misogyny. It's like, I'm pretty sure you have control over your own value system and beliefs.
Yeah, you're 49. You've been around a lot longer than BuzzFeed has.
Yeah.
You've solidified these in the 9th grade when some girl told you she wouldn't go to the fucking dance with you.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But yeah, it just kills me when I see those comments. It's just like, and it's very appreciated when other women make comments or other people make comments in support of me. But it's like, does he really think I'm going to walk away from that upset or distressed? Yeah, that some like random guy on the internet who, honestly, why is he reading an article about a middle-aged woman who decided to be childfree in the first place? Like, I don't read articles about like guys talking about their prostates. So he's read this article or not. Because if he had read the article and listened to watched the video, he would have clearly heard me say my husband. And
But yeah,
no, I had to knock her down.
And the other thing is like he seems to think that you think being child free is entirely your choice and yours alone, and your husband didn't have a say in the matter. And it, like you say, you set out the whole context in the video, and you're just trying to like get across to people that wanting to be child free is your choice. It's you and your partner. Primarily, it's the woman's choice because it's her body, but you need to make sure that your value system aligns with your spouse's.
Absolutely.
You know.
So this guy, like, it's not entirely her choice. Who else would it be?
Yeah.
Like, this is probably the same guy who then goes on other social media platforms to complain about, like, how come I see even ugly women getting laid and I'm a nice guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I would like to dig into the rest of his social media history just so to get a better sense, because right now I'm unimpressed.
Here's another comment he made. So this is on 29 classic comedies that are even funnier when you know these behind the scenes facts. And he says, so ... You like saying that?
He likes that.
Yeah. Did we not see White Chicks by the Wayans brothers? It's one race's additional, somewhat juvenile attempt at reclamation over the atrocities committed by another, in this case, whiteface for blackface. And it's more stereotypical given the time period it came from and the types of humor attempted. I have no idea what his point even is with that.
I think he is probably he's one of those, like, guys who tries to pull the reverse Uno card.
Yeah.
To say, like, yes, you can say these things were racist, but here's my one example.
Yeah. Yeah. And I thought from White Chicks that's what the Wayans brothers were actually trying to raise a thing about. They were actually trying to make a point about that.
That was the whole point. It was like when Eddie Murphy did whiteface in Saturday Night Live, when he went on and he was, like, surprised at, like, he was getting free newspapers, he was getting free coffees.
Yeah. Man.
But it's always, every single time, it's without fail. Like, that's what I wanted to talk about today. It's without fail. I have made like 3 or 4 videos about being child free, and that almost word for word comment comes up every single time.
It's
what
like,
if it's him? What if it's him?
Honestly, I think that in this case, they're so unimaginative and just ignorant. I think
honestly, it's boring at this point.
It's like those tater tots that keep saying, "What colour's your Bugatti?" And I'm like, "Well, same colour as your Renzo, I think."
But yeah, it's just unless they start coming up with new material, it's getting really old and boring.
Yeah,
and like if he's a 49-year-old man, he has been around 49, 48-year-old women long enough to know that we don't give a shit about fucking anything.
Yeah.
So how did he think this was gonna land?
Yeah. And like what then the entitlement as well of just that I have something that you need to hear, even though you don't know who I am.
I saw another video. It was a trans woman, and she was talking about, like, here's how cis women can support trans women. And then there were 2 women who commented on that. You can't come into my space and tell me how to behave. But it's like, what? This is her fucking page.
Yeah.
You give it to her space. You are commenting on her space.
It's her soapbox.
But it's also like that same entitlement of, like, just because you're scrolling through social media, that is not your space. It is the space of the person who is making that video, and you have been invited into that space. You don't have to accept the invitation. You can just keep scrolling. But that people choose to comment. It's like when people comment on my videos, I don't like this video. So don't comment, because you're going to see more of it now. Yeah. So and if I was petty and not so lazy, I would tag you in every video I make from here on.
That'd be so funny. They'd have to make a new account.
I'll find out when too.
And then when they block you, then you'll just go to another account and then tag it from that new account.
I got nothing but time.
Yeah.
Because remember, I don't have any kids to take care of. I got all the time. I do wonder, like, does he have any kids? And if he does, are any of them daughters? That's what really disappoints me when I think about it, because there's been a lot of, like, not just this type of comment, but I've seen a lot of comments, especially when that whole period talk came out, that, like, men were talking about how women who use periods are whores and they shouldn't use tampons and blah, blah, blah. And if they have daughters, they're teaching even if they have any children, because they're teaching their daughters they need to be ashamed of their bodies. They're teaching their sons that it's okay to shame somebody for a basic physiological function. And anything else they do, like the whole lock and key analogy, right? Like, if I I was a young person and I saw my dad on a video talking about like, well, if you've got a lock,
Yeah.
that can open any key or whatever the fucking stupid analogy is. See, Gozer doesn't like it either. Then I would be like so disheartened of like, that's my dad saying that, or that's my brother, my cousin, my future whatever. Like, does everyone just forget that the internet is forever, and once it's out there, it's out there?
Yeah, I think so. And then could you imagine as well, say if like you had a daughter and then you're going on the internet saying things like, oh, I'm not surprised she was attacked, what was she wearing, why didn't she walk there, and all that. She deserved it. And then what happens then if later on your daughter hears that and then also gets attacked? She's not going to want to come to you, and she's going to think it's her fault.
Absolutely. So there was another video I saw. This woman was talking about that exact same thing. She was assaulted by someone she knew. She was sexually assaulted, and then when she told her friends were like, well, why did you drink that much? Why were you at that party? What were you leading him on? She said it took her 10 years of intensive therapy to finally get to a place where she realized it wasn't her fault. He gaslighted her to the point that she still remained friends with him on social media.
Jesus Christ.
Until she said a few weeks later or a couple months later, he'd made a comment that kind of clicked for her that he knew what he was doing. So that's when she cut him off. But even her friends were, well, what were you wearing? Why were you there? What, like, we can't, like, women don't even fucking support each other. How do we expect to get fucking men support?
And it's a really bad, I guess, behavioral pattern for these men to put out there as well. Because I remember being a lot younger when I was like 15, 16, and like I'd known people that'd either been raped or assaulted and all that stuff, but I didn't know how to be there for them properly because I'd never been shown how to do that. You know, and then I think that's the situation that the majority of us guys are in at that age, because the only stuff that we see is the bad stuff, like we've just been talking about. And you know that's wrong, so you don't do that. But then it's like, well, what do I do instead? How do I be there for that person?
I wish more people would ask questions.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what do you need from me? How can I support you?
Yeah.
Like, you know, that put me in coach mentality. It's like when my husband and I first started dating, I think like one day I got like a stomach bug. So because he likes to have his stomach rubbed when he's not feeling very well, he started rubbing my stomach, and I was like, get your fucking hands off.
Yeah.
It can't be touched right now. So that very early in our relationship started us in the habit of, what do you need from me? How can I support you through this? Because the way we want to be supported is different. So we got to ask each other those questions. What do you need? How can I help? Put me in, coach?
Yeah. I did. I had a similar experience with my partner. So I was like thrown up in the toilet, and she just came in and just started rubbing my back, and I was like, "Oh no, that's the worst! Don't rub it."
You're just coaxing it out.
Yeah.
Do you know, I have never. Here we go. Potty talk. I have never vomited and not been peeing at the same time.
Really?
Yeah, like I have never been like, oh, I have to throw up. I'm gonna hunch over the toilet and throw up into the toilet. It's always like I'm peeing, and it's like, oh my god, I need to throw up. Grab the garbage can, and there I sit for the next hour swearing. But my husband, like, both of us cannot handle the smell and sound of vomit. So like, if I'm ever vomiting, he's at the bottom of the stairs, be like, do you need anything? Yeah. Between vomits, he'll come in and put a bottle of water on the counter, and then leave. And I'll do the same. I'm like, yeah, right over there. Lots of prayers.
Yeah, I like so what my partner does now, she's been trained quite well, is that she'll just come in and put a glass of water next to me and then just leave it like that. You know.
See? It's partners who pay attention. It's not that she's been trained, it's that she paid attention. It's not a dog.
Well, that's what we joke about, like between us. We always talk about, like, we talk about each other as if we're animals, like sometimes, because we find it funny. But yeah.
We kind of do the same. We both will walk around the house complaining that we have to do everything around here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like she'll say something like, So if she's cooking dinner, she'd be like, "Oh, can you get thing out the fridge?" And I'm like, "Fuck's sake, why do I have to do everything?" You know?
The same in our house. It's exactly the same. Because our house, like I do the majority of the cooking. My husband makes dinner on Saturday nights, but I do the majority of the cooking because I enjoy it. It's my quiet time. But then, so because I'm cooking, he does the dishes afterwards, and so like we'll have just finished a meal. It's taken me an hour to prepare, and he'll grab the dishes. Like, I do everything around here.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, well, you make it. You do it without complaint, and that's why
it did take her a while because she grew up in a very different environment to me, and my sense of humor is a lot broader. So it did take her a while to get used to my jokes. And then there were times for a while where she didn't think I was joking about some stuff like that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I was pleased with how it turned out, and with the majority of the comments.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see, like, when I was young, 20, 22, 23, and it was like, that was when it was hardcore, because my husband and I, well, we were dating then. We didn't get married till we were in our mid-20s, but we were already dating, and it was always like, when are you going to get married? When are you going to have babies? And then at our wedding, people were like, when are you going to have babies?
Yeah.
So being asked that, and at the time, I mean, yeah, the internet existed, but it wasn't the way it was now. It was like 80% porn and 20% cats. So
yeah.
So like you had nowhere to go, and it was like, depending on the culture that you're in and the family that you're in and the community that you're in, like having kids is a big deal. So like seeing young women in their early 20s coming out in the comments to be like, I needed to hear this, like that's amazing.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to do the GVizzle Sizzle series. Kind of coaxed you into doing it.
Because I am a font of wisdom.
Yeah, exactly. but in all seriousness, there's like there's things that I was hoping to try and do with the Tempest psychology stuff, but I didn't feel like I had the personality or the delivery to be able to do it. And I think that when you're talking about things like this child-free stuff, you're like, I don't know, you're just more naturally skilled at it, and it comes across really well, and it genuinely helps people.
So if I'm hearing this correctly, you and I are in a Cyrano de Bergerac type of...
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Cyrano de GVizzle.
Pull a string on my back, and I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
We got a lot going on.
Yeah. So,
and all because you wanted to make a silly little video about the pandemic.
I know. I wanted other people to share their pandemic experiences. And I was like, all right, she looks fit. She could go first. I'll ask her.
You mean she looks highly intelligent and skilled?
Yeah.
It comes across in my rock eyebrow arch.
And you have the ability to look and sound condescending on a whim.
It is a gift, isn't it?
Yeah. And to be honest, like I personally found the child-free video, like even as a bloke, I found it cathartic to listen to, and I really appreciate a lot of the viewpoints that you said in it, and the balance that you had with it. That it's not, because some of the stuff that does rub guys up the wrong way is this whole it's just my choice, I'm the woman, I'm in control of my own body, and all that stuff, like stuff that we know, but it's also the way that some other people do it. It's like it's very exclusionary towards men and their wants for life and what we might want out of it.
I get that, but I think men tend to forget that they also have that same choice, right?
Yeah.
Because I think being child-free is 100% that individual's choice. Because if I had any doubt and just was like, okay, well, I'll have a baby because of my husband, that's absolutely the wrong reason to have a kid, right? Like, I think you both need to be 100% in, or you both need to be 100% out, because those people who are talked into it, yeah, there's a big likelihood that you're going to have that child and fall in love with that child and not regret having had it. But there's also a chance that you're going to be like, ugh, I was right. I don't know. Yeah. So like when men get bent out of shape that women have made this choice and they say it's my choice not to have children, they have the same choice, right?
Yeah.
If it would, like, if my husband was the one who wanted to be child free and I didn't, it still wouldn't have worked out, or vice versa. Like it's a deal breaker as far as I'm concerned. So I don't know why anybody gets upset about like, well, it's 100% my choice. Absolutely it is, because it affects every day of your life for the rest of your life. And that's what pisses me off so much when people say it's selfish not to have children, which I absolutely disagree with 100%. Because selfishness implies you're depriving somebody of something, and it's not like there's a baby hanging on a tree with my name on it that is waiting to get plucked. So the argument is completely faulty, especially, and I said this in the video, especially when like, who's going to take care of you when you're older? But even if it was selfish, and I would concede that it is, but I don't. I need to keep putting that disclaimer out there. I'm allowed to be selfish with a decision that affects every aspect of my life, every day of my life, for the rest of my life. I'm allowed to do that. I don't have to be this selfless Mother Teresa to bring light into the world, because then everyone's like, what if your baby's going to be the next Gandhi? It's like, well, it's probably not going to be Gandhi. It's probably not going to be Hitler. It's going to be like a mid-level manager in a bank who plays a lot of video game. Like, it's not like, let's relax a little bit. But yeah, if people think it's selfish, that's okay. You're allowed to be selfish. There's nothing wrong with putting yourself first. Like, if I don't put myself first, who else is going to? And not to say that I don't think of other people, but if I'm not taking care of myself, I can't take care of my husband and my family. If I'm not at my best, I can't be my best for somebody else. So that's okay to take care of yourself first. And it's okay to think of that.
So like selfishness implies that you're focusing on your self-interest at the expense of other people. But choosing not to have children isn't selfishness. It's
There's no other people.
Yeah, it's self-focused, but that's not a bad thing. You're more aware of what your priorities are, and having children should be a big decision.
I don't think people think about it enough, right? And I think I said in the video, people should think about the reasons why they want to have children as much as people who don't want to have children think about it. Because people just assume that's just the way it is, right? You grow up, you get married, you have kids. It's just the natural order of things. And and like a lot of women who came up in the videos or comments of the original video, they kind of said the same thing, that they had children because they felt they had to, but if they could go back, they wouldn't. And that came up in the comments a lot more often than women who didn't have children and wish that they had. Like that came up never in the comments. But women saying, if I could go back, I wouldn't do it. I wish I'd known then I had a choice. Like, it's a big fucking deal. And I knew someone who told me she couldn't afford to have a cat. And 3 months later, she got pregnant on purpose. And like, just because you can doesn't mean you should, because you may not be in the right headspace to have a child and take care of a child. You may not, like, I know people say it's classist to say you shouldn't have children if you can't afford it, but I don't think children are right? Like, you don't, if you're going to have a child, do what you can to give that child a promising or a better life than what, like, that isn't that the whole point, that you want to give your children a better life than you had? Which I don't see in any application, right? Like, it's like, you kind of hope, and it's not even just with children. Like, I've known female or women leaders who you would think, because they struggled to get to their position, they would want to make it easier for the women who come up behind them, to pave the way for those women. But then some of them have that attitude of like, I had to fucking hustle, so you're going to have to hustle too. And that's not the point. The whole point is to make things better and make things easier and make things more attainable. But instead, people just get petty. Like, I had to walk to school, you walk to school.
I had to like dig my way through the trenches and climb mountains to get to
it's
school.
Almost like, where does that attitude end when all of a sudden you're like, no, we're not going to the grocery store. You fucking churn that butter, bitch. You churn.
I
had to churn butter. You got to churn butter. When when my grandparents came to Canada, they kept their house in Portugal, and they were on one of the islands in the Azores, and they got a lot of I think they got a lot of earthquakes or hurricanes. I can't remember. I think it was actually both. So many, many, many years ago, there was a hurricane that swept through the islands, and it damaged my grandmother's house, which they hadn't been back to in fucking 30 years anyway. but it damaged the house, and then the government was going to give people money to be able to rebuild if they wanted to. So then my mom was like so excited. She was like, when they rebuild the house, they're going to put the bathroom inside.
Oh my god.
What was it?
Oh wow.
That's how she grew up. Meanwhile, we're
Yeah.
complaining the microwave takes too long, and my mom had to put on boots and shoes to go take a shit in the middle of the,
Yeah.
middle of the night. And her friend was hilarious because it was like they didn't have picnic tables, they didn't eat outside. So her friend, after they had moved to Canada and been here for a few years, her friend was like, "Can you believe it? Back home, we used to shit outside and eat inside, and now people eat outside and shit inside."
Oh, the modern era.
What will happen next?
Yeah.
People, there's going to be TikTok videos of people eating oranges in the shower. That's what comes next.
Yeah. Man, life really is so, like, even in our lifetime, life is so much simpler, like easier to do now than it used to be.
I don't know how my parents let me leave the house ever.
Yeah.
Right? Like now, when my niece was younger, I mean, she's almost 22 now, so she's, fully grown adult. But when she was, I don't know, say 12, 13, 14, they gave her a phone because they wanted to be able to check in and know where she was. So like this one day she was in school and she wanted to go to McDonald's with her friends at lunch. So my sister-in-law and my sister both were like, okay, you need to text us when you leave school. You need to text us when you get to McDonald's. You need to text us when you leave McDonald's. You need to text us when you get back to school. So they could check in where she was the entire time. And meanwhile, when I was that age, my mom was like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
I love you. I hope I see you again. But if not, we had a good run.
I think that's one of the reasons why I think parents now are helicopter parents, is because our parents just kind of let us get on with it. And now there's an overcorrection to this, like, you've always got to be around your kids. You've got to block up all of their time so they're never bored. And I think a lot of the time people are worried about the wrong risks. What you need to watch out for is like the weird uncle or like the boyfriend's dad or something.
Yeah.
This, like, obviously these other crimes do happen, but the difference in frequency is astronomical.
Absolutely. And I think that's one thing that parents need to, and like, I mean, I'm not going to tell people how to parent because I'm not a parent, but the one thing that I hear often is, respect your elders, respect adults, blah, blah, blah. But when it's that adult who's hurting you or a different adult who's hurting you, and you've been told your entire life to don't talk back, respect adults, where do you draw the line? Right? Like, I think we need to start teaching kids question things. If it doesn't feel right, say something, right? Like if we set that out there, because even I was told as a kid, you got to respect your elders and respect, and when you go to school, you just do what they tell you and you do what adults tell you because that's what it is. But we need to question shit because you're raising future adults, right? Raise them to be inquisitive and curious and to stand up for what's right. And that starts from the time that they're children, which is another reason why I get so mad when people don't put their grocery carts away.
Yeah, well, it's these bigger things.
Right, you'd give your kids shit for not putting their toys away, and then they're watching you just fucking blah with a grocery cart. When I see like videos of people my age, or like I have friends that are around my age, that like a friend of mine is 6 years older than I am, and she's got like 2 daughters and a granddaughter, and it's like, I can't, like I can't even imagine having a kid, much less having a grandkid like that.
Could you imagine like how busy your life would be and all those people around all the time? You could be a great grandmother by the time you're 66.
Yeah, because I mean, like, my mom had my sister when she was 20. So if my sister had a kid when she was 20, and then that kid had a kid when they were 20, by the time my mom was 80, she would be a great great grandmother.
Yeah.
Although my husband has a big family, and like his grandparents, I think they had 8 kids, and each of those kids had at least 2 kids, and so like his family reunions are massive. And then like I remember he was saying like once his grandfather was kind of like sitting back, and we go family reunions like this campsite every year, so he's like looking at his whole family who's there, and he was like, I made this, right? He didn't say the words, "This, you all came from my nuts," but it was implied. But like, and that's, like that's if that's what you want, that's got to be an amazing feeling.
Yeah, but how hard is it though, being the bloke, and all you do is you just go, ugh, and then that's it. I'm
For
not sure
9 months.
he
I
made
mean,
one.
there is some child, you would hope, some child rearing that he would do after the baby is born. But yes, that's pretty
Yeah.
much it.
Yeah. Little tiny pee-pee vomit. Yeah.
Pee vomit. Oh, Chris. Pee vomit.
I don't even know where I got that from. I just plucked it out of the ether. I thought that sounds good to say on a podcast.
What else are we going to talk about today?
I can't think off the top of my head.
I worked in a collections call center, and after a while, things got repetitive. I had a bingo. I made myself a bingo card of all the things people would say to me in a day, and then someone called me a concrete head, and I went off. Like, I was like, "Yep, yeah, I'm going to give you an extension on your bill because that was creative. Thank you very much."
Yeah.
Because it was like, show this, like, because it was a cell phone company. Show this phone up your ass. Check. You're taking food out of my children's mouths. Check. That one pissed me off the most because it was a collections call center for a cell phone company at a time when cell phones were absolutely a luxury. It wasn't like today. Nobody had a cell phone. You were paying 95 cents a minute to talk on the phone. So if you, and your phone was the size of a brick. So if you had a phone, you had to have been able to pay for it. So when people were like, you're making $10 phone calls every day, multiple times a day, and then you're saying, I'm taking food out of your kids' mouths?
Yeah,
I'm not the one.
You're doing it to yourself.
Yeah, I wasn't the one making these phone calls. You know what's hilarious, though, is that at the time when they had like sex numbers, like the 976 is what we used to call them, the way that those often work is that they would bounce the call off of multiple cell phone towers. So you think you're paying $2.95 a minute, but you're actually paying like $10 a minute because the way it pings around the world. So these 18-year-old kids would get a phone. They would rack up $10,000 in a month. And then they would be on the phone with me being like, please don't tell my mom. Please don't tell my mom. Sobbing. Sobbing. I was like, you wanted to pee-pee vomit. So that's what happens.
So what when you make your pee-pee sick?
Exactly. Go to the internet like everybody else does. It's going to take you, because it was dial-up, it's going to take you 30 minutes to download one photo.
But can you imagine the anticipation?
I don't need to imagine it. I lived it, Chris.
Yeah.
I lived it.
Like, yeah, nearly there.
That's not how it looks in my house. But it was like, you start a picture. It's like, fuck, by the time this is done, people are going to be home from work. I don't have time for them. Someone had the audacity to pick up the phone while you're... Terrible. Kids today don't realize how bad we had it.
Yeah, it's true.
Just get porn like that.
Yeah.
To work for it.
Was it Jim Jeffries in one of his specials? He was talking about how he found some porn magazines, and so he so his parents wouldn't find them, he buried them in a field under a tree, and then he would go off on this little hike to his wank tree.
His stash.
Then, dig out his porn stash, fat furiously, and then bury it again.
But like, how nosy were his parents, or how invasive were his parents that he couldn't even just keep it in a box under his bed like my brother did? That's how I found his. I mean, I did make a TikTok about this a while ago about finding my brother's whole collection and stash. But like at the time, we had like movie channels, and if you didn't subscribe to them, they were just like these squiggly lines, right?
Oh yeah.
And so in the middle of the night, they would play porn movies, and if you were really lucky, if Santa was good to you, you would get a good view between the squiggly lines before it got all wonky again.
There was
the crosses we bared.
You what?
I said the crosses we bared.
Yeah. There was a bit made it like really awkward to flick your bean to, though. Like trying to follow the
It's where Gen Xers had to learn to use their imaginations.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I've lost that function, I think.
I think I think that's why people now have gotten mentally lazy. Because back in the day, we had to use our imagination, and you had to tell a story. That's what kills me when people are comment on my storytelling skills, which I very much appreciate. But it's also like I don't have a choice because I couldn't just videotape shit and be like, watch the video. I had to bring it to life.
Yeah. Breathe life into it. But
exactly.
that's the thing. Like when I was a teenager, and like part of it was because I didn't have any money, but the other part was just I wasn't interested in buying porn or like buying even any of those like different magazines like FHM or Playboy and all that. Like it never occurred to me to do what some of these other boys were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, I've got a brain. I just use my brain. You know,
you've got your imagine. I'm about to start singing the Willy Wonka song. In a world of pure imagination.
Yeah. And your cable's got all the squiggly lines. There was one time though, my stepdad had cable, and we didn't live with him, but one time I was staying at his for the weekend, and like and then he was out at work, and I was just channel hopping. It was like the middle of the day, came across some random German channel, and there was a woman wearing like hardly anything, dressed up like a donkey, and then was making out with another woman dressed up like a donkey. And like,
what?
Yeah. It was really weird. And it was literally the middle of the day.
Odd. So we had a channel here that used to play what they call like blue movies at midnight. So kind of like very soft core. You wouldn't see any penetration. It was always like hair was in the way and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So one night my sister and I are like just we're flipping the channels watching TV. This is when I was like a teenager, and we see in the TV guide Flash Gordon. So we're like, oh, we'll watch Flash Gordon. So we're watching it for a few, and like we thought it was Flash. That's what we read, Flash Gordon. So we're watching it for a few minutes, and there's talks of like sex robots and other stuff, and we're like, what the fuck is this? So then we go back to the TV Guide channel, and we're like, oh, it's Flesh Gordon, not Flash Gordon. I'm like, oh, let's watch something else. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose it'd be a bit
that awkward moment when you realize you're watching porn with your sister.
Yeah. Sadly, I never had that experience, so
now they make movies about it. Watch these two stepsisters.
Yeah.
What is it with the increase in incest porn?
Yeah,
stepmother, stepbrother, like it's
it's icky.
It is very icky.
I don't know. I mean, I've got a stepfather. He had a girlfriend that I guess is kind of my stepmother, but it's not something that ever crossed my mind, I'll have to say.
You never banged her?
Just the once, you know.
It's for science.
Yeah, I wanted to see, you know, what the fuss was about.
To bring us back full circle.
Yes.
I'm famous.
That's the only reason why I hang out with you is because you're famous. And now
I wasn't famous when you met. You had that foresight.
Yeah, well, I wanted to bask in your reflected glory, you see. I was like, see.
My sister, after that scary mommy blog, posted it on me. I gotta dust it off because it's very dusty. she printed it off. And she
cool.
Put it in a frame for me.
Oh, that's really cute.
And then I might have to do the same with my Buzzfeed article.
Yeah.
Well, I got to bask in the glory of my 15 minutes before it's all fizzles and I get canceled for something I did in 1983.
Yeah. GVizzle the fizzle.
Oh, that's what I want my downfall to be called. The GVizzle fizzle.
What is it like going through that process of, you know, 'cause we're like regular everyday people.
Yeah.
And what's it like to have like 464,000 people follow you on TikTok? 10,000 like 10,000 people watch a video every day.
Yeah, it's really weird. I don't know how to explain it other than that. Like it's and the videos that have gone viral, because there was the Bucket of Fucks one, this one, There was the one I made about that woman who was flirting aggressively with my husband. Like those are the ones. So it's, and like those, like this child-free one has almost 5 million people. Almost 5 million people have seen me make goofy faces and talk about being child-free. And that is, it's really, really bizarre. It's very flattering that people are interested in anything that I have to say. I mean, although I am like super fucking engaging, so but I don't know, it's just weird. Like I thought when I first started TikTok, and it's almost, I think it's almost been 2 years or a year and a half, whatever, since I've been on TikTok. I kind of just thought like I would be talking to my friends and maybe like 20 people. And that where it is now is weird. And I didn't think I would I didn't think I would enjoy it for as long as I did. Because I always said when it stops being fun, I'm out. Because that's pretty much the way I do everything. If I don't like it anymore, I'm going to stop doing it. And it's like 2 years later and I'm still enjoying it. And like the thought that TikTok may get banned, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to I have to fucking learn how to use Instagram and start posting on YouTube because I'm still enjoying it. There is a bit of a pressure though. Like if it wasn't for the kick-ass facts, I don't know what the fuck I'd be doing. Because I mean, like I started by telling stories of things that have happened to me, but like at the time I had 45 years of material. Now, like I've told those stories when nobody was watching. So now that I gotta fucking, I gotta dig into the archives and get those old stories back out. But yeah, like there's like this pressure of putting content out there. And I understand now people who got a large following doing a very specific type of video, you feel the need to do that, right? Like those lifestyle influencers, or you know, that one person who that one time found a stray kitten and that video got 10 million views and now they're like, oh, I'm gonna look for kittens everywhere I go, right? Like it's like you kind of walk around like, how do I make this a story? How do I make that a story? But it's, I don't know, it's very bizarre. And now like this whole Buzzfeed article that like a friend of mine was like, I was just scrolling through Buzzfeed and this came up on my feed, and people that I've known for a long time that maybe I had lost touch with, they were scrolling through TikTok and saw me and they're like, is that looks like, oh shit. And it's weird. It's very weird. And like I haven't told anybody. It's like when I first started on TikTok, my husband was like, can I tell my family that you're on TikTok? And I was like, absolutely no. And I didn't want to tell my friends for a while. Like I talk to my neighbor every single day and I will tell her like, oh, I saw this video on TikTok. I saw this on TikTok. But I have never once said like, oh, I'm on TikTok. I'm on TikTok.
I'm practically famous on TikTok.
Yeah, do you know who you're talking to? I have merch, bitch.
The accounts where the people do the same thing over and over again, I struggle to understand why they're so popular, in the sense that like, but I'm really picky about who I follow on TikTok. So I look for creators who can talk about a bunch of stuff. And I think this is one of the reasons why I wanted to work with you in the first place. It was like after our magical day where we met and we started talking, like, because you see like a few videos, you think, okay, this person seems quite with it. They seem like they have a lot to say and they're quite articulate. But until you actually hang out with somebody, you don't really know, you know, is there any substance to them, or is this?
Are they just a one-trick pony?
Yeah, exactly. And then it was like, oh no, she obviously has a lot of ideas of things, and then she's really good at talking and all that stuff, and we get on well. And that's why I wanted to start up this podcast and stuff.
And here we are.
A year later, yeah. And I thought, you know, I could use her fame to get me famous, and the plans are working.
I mean, it's a slow burn, the plan, but
yeah, it's taking me.
If we continue at the pace that we've been at in, I don't know, 6 years, maybe we'll get monetized.
Yeah. Podcasts do take a long time to build up. I mean, like your mum's house, they've been going for 10 years.
Are they really?
Yeah.
I don't see. This is what is weird to me. This is what makes it so weird to me that I have a podcast and I have a TikTok account, is because I don't engage with social media. I do not listen. The only podcast I ever listened to was that one I told you about. My dad wrote a porno. Yeah. And then even that, after the 3rd season, I was like, ugh, I'm out. So like, I don't listen to podcasts. I don't engage a lot, but here I am.
I find most podcasts quite boring. Like, again, it's really hard to find people that are engaging enough and then like and they talk about enough different things to keep it interesting week in, week out.
Yeah, but we're only interesting to each other because we're both narcissists.
Yeah. Well,
nobody else is listening, Chris. Nobody else is. Just
Yeah,
your pee-pee comment.
all those downloads is just me listening to it over and over again.
It's your mom in the background being like, he talks shit about me, but I'm gonna keep going because that's
Yeah.
my boy.
It's the only engagement I get with him. But it's I do find it kind of interesting that with the lack of engagement that we both personally have with social media and podcasts and stuff, and yet like I'm really happy with how the podcast is, you know. Like,
Me too.
We log in every week, chat shit for like an hour and a half.
And you know what? Like when I started TikTok, I was starting it with the intention of just having fun with it. And it was for me, right? And I think when we started the podcast, it was kind of the same thing, right? Like people watch, they watch. If they don't, we're still having a fun conversation. So it's just kind of like hanging out with my best mate once a week. So if people enjoy that, then that's a fucking amazing. And if they don't, well, not everything is for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. I'm quite amazed we have as many listeners as we do. I think that's really awesome.
It is awesome. And thank you to all of them, especially if you've stuck it out this far in this episode.
Yeah. Where we've just been moaning and whittering for like an hour.
I know, me saying I'm not bothered by a guy who makes a comment, but then we spent 20 minutes talking about that comment.
Yeah.
Because it's funny. It's fucking hilarious. Let's not lie.
And I think it's good for other people to hear it as well, that you don't have to let these comments get to you, you know?
Absolutely. Because I mean, a lot of people I think just are shitty for the sake of being shitty.
Yeah.
And it's like that person on TikTok now who she's going into, whenever she stumbles upon a video where somebody has made a terrible comment, she will copy that comment and put it on their video. Like there was one, there was a woman who'd made a comment on a guy's video. He was a bodybuilder, and her video was something like, "Oh, so gross, your body is gross." So this other viewer saw it, copied it, put it on her last video, and then she was like, "Why would you say that? That's so rude about strangers on the internet." It's like, you said that about somebody else. I think the more we call people out for being shitty, hopefully the less likely people will be shitty.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's when behavior allows to go unchecked that it makes people be okay with that behavior.
Yeah, and then what I find is like I have a personal rule. Like if somebody is either disagree with me or has been shitty, I give them 2 comments to kind of come back down to earth and realize the miscommunication that's happened. So they get 2 opportunities to not be a dick going forward. It's like you got a free one, but now you got 2 opportunities. And then there's actually quite a number of people that go, "Oh no, I was a dick, I'm sorry." Like, "Oh no."
That's amazing.
Yeah, or they go, "Oh, I still disagree with you, but thanks for the chat," sort of thing. You know,
that's awesome that people can do that, right? Other than like the experience that I've had is they double down. Like that guy who told me I couldn't pew pew. Yeah. And when it was like, we can, anybody, like it's not a trademark statement, anybody can pew pew. And he was like, "You're ugly and not funny." I was like, okay. It's like, all right. Well, are you gonna tell me my mom smells funny too? Like I don't.
Yeah.
No. And that's where, like, it's. I think one of the things that made me hesitant about going onto social media in the first place was that, like, I didn't want to have to deal with any negativity, and not that I expected it. I didn't expect it, but I also was kind of like, why am I like? I don't want to have to expend any sort of energy replying to or reading those comments or doing anything. Like I just didn't. It was a waste of time. And I was very surprised by how little negativity there is. Like when I make a child-free video, there's always that, like, it's not entirely your decision. Okay. And then when I made that video about the woman who was flirting with my husband, a lot of people proceeded to tell me that he was cheating on me.
Oh, yeah. I like your follow-up to that. That was fantastic.
Honestly, like, he's not an idiot. He would do better. Yeah. Honey, I have a Christmas party. It's employees only. Sorry. He's not a dumb man. Yeah. There's a lot of things, but he's not stupid. But so like those are the videos that get that negativity. Or when I shit talk men, the men come out in droves to prove my point. Yeah. Like, how do they not see that that's what they're doing? But like largely it's been very positive, which is encouraging. I don't know where I was going with that, but I went there.
I'm on a bit of a cool down period with TikTok at the moment. I'm just kind of like, I'm putting out content still, but I'm just going to take it easy for like a week or two.
I'm like that on Reddit.
Mm.
Because Reddit's like TikTok, where you kind of cultivate your homepage and you join different subreddits. And I've joined a few subreddits that I would never normally join for this podcast, Chris. You're welcome. Because I need to find screenshots for what the fuck is wrong with you. So I get into these dark pits, these cesspits.
Yeah.
And then after a while, I'm like, I need to say, wait, this is affecting me negatively. Where my husband will be like, do you know where they? And I'm like, I'm not your fucking slave. So I need to. Like, I just want to know where the scissors are, right?
I'll cut you with them.
This is why women stab their husbands with a spork 87 times.
Yeah, sporks. Do you remember our spork episode?
I do, and I still every day eat with a spork. Most days. Sporks are superior.
They are amazing. And that is a good place to fade to black. Again.